championing these illegals, murderers, rapists. There was last week. Great story. Another great Donald Trump White House event. They put those lawn signs, like the election lawn signs, and they lined one of the driveways going up to the White House with pictures of illegal aliens that have been arrested. The government, for everything that they've ever lived, was a lie.
Right. Well, yeah, and then like my grandfather fought in World War I.
Very nice.
Bring rock and roll back.
Yep, bring rock and roll back. Bring movies and TV back. Thanks so much, Trey. I appreciate
Thanks for having me.
you coming on with me, man. Be well.
Thanks for having me.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Love it. Love it. We'll be right back with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Fake news coming up next. We're all just young boys at heart, aren't we? Talk to a girl like that, you're just, you get a little giddy.
She knows me. She knows me.
She knows who I am. So stupid. We are suckers. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, of course, it is time for fake news.
Here it is.
Now.
Fake news, folks. Fake news.
It's the fake news.
Fake stories.
News moment.
Now, a little different tonight because I don't have another clip of MSNBC or any of these, CNN, performing fake news. This is good. You'll like this because it's Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller ripping the media apart. I love this. People, they don't really appreciate how well Trump's staff just sticks it to the media. Even Trump, I mean, we have some clips a little later in the show with him on NBC News. And he doesn't put up with their garbage. These politicians, they always sit down with mainstream media and just put up with it. Oh, yeah, call me that. And then they try to... They try to divert from what the reporter is saying, and Trump just answers things. It gets him in a lot of trouble. Which, again, I have an example of that a little later in the show. But for fake news, let's hear Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller destroy the fake news.
Most of your papers never covered her story when it happened. To the extent that you covered it at all, it was because President Trump forced you to cover it by highlighting it repeatedly over and over again. He had to shame you into covering it. And each and every one of you that sides over and over again with these MS-13 terrorists, to the extent that you have the financial means to do so, you all choose to live in condos or homes or houses as far away from these kinds of gangbangers as you possibly can. If I offered any one of you a rent-free home with no taxes to pay in any of these gang neighborhoods, and I said your neighbors are MS-13 terrorists or Mexican mafia or Sinaloa cartel or Tren de Aragua, I couldn't pay you to live there. But yet you, with your coverage, are trying to force innocent Americans to have these people as their neighbors, and that one day their daughter may be abducted from their home and raped and murdered. So you're not going to get an ounce of sympathy from this administration or President Trump for the terrorists who've invaded our homes and our country.
Isn't that fantastic? To see somebody laying it into the mainstream media like that from the podium is refreshing. We've wanted that. Everyone that says, wow, how many people regret their Trump vote? Oh, you guys, he hasn't done anything about this, that, the other. Just watching his press people get up there and rip apart the lying sacks that are the mainstream media is fantastic. It's just... we've watched so many of these press secretaries, especially that the two clowns, the redhead clown and the mophead clown that Biden had, it was constantly duck and cover for them. The media would ask them questions, they didn't answer anything.
Cancel.
Anything. It was
Building.
always evasive.
Construction complete.
And now the media are the ones that are
Unit
afraid.
reporting.
Lost.
They ask a question, they're going to be laid into by Trump's people, and rightly so. We know they're liars. We know the fake news media
Shows on the road.
are a
Backed up
bunch
and
of
ready.
liars. They're in the pockets of the left,
Who's your daddy?
propaganda
I
wing
can go anywhere.
of the left, and we get to watch
Vehicle ready.
them get called out for it. And their anger doesn't even affect anyone anymore. When they get mad and they
Structure
How about
sold.
some
they
action?
wreite horrible
On my
articles
way.
about these people
Can do.
or do a
On
report
the
on
move.
it. We just look and know they're lying. Their viewership is down. Readership, I don't know who
Rocket to the
actually
sky. I can go anywhere.
reads a paper anymore.
24/7.
I mean, obviously you go online. I could see things from the
Unit
Post or the
reporting.
Daily News or any newspaper around the country. But why the hell are printing presses still running
Select target.
at newspaper companies? Why? Chicken, hold the presses. We have extra. Read all about it. Stop the presses. New story coming in. Hey, why is that still a thing?
Check out the view.
I guess
Check out the view.
parrot cages, housebreaking animals.
Unit ready.
Do you need newspaper? You could probably just buy blank newsprint. It would be better. The ink won't get all over everything. 'Cause I can't imagine newspapers are being used for anything more than animal waste. Sopping up animal waste in the bottom of a cage.
Building.
They've blown it
Check out
over
the
the
view.
course of the years.
All fired up.
We see it now.
Clear out the place.
It's all just
Check out the
fake news.
Pushing
And
away.
he was saying that, you know, what Stephen Miller was saying to the media. Yeah, they're championing these illegals, murderers, rapists.
Check out the view.
There was last week.
Check out
Great story. Another great Donald Trump White House event. They put those lawn signs, like the election lawn signs, and they lined one of the driveways going up to the White House with pictures of illegal aliens that have been arrested for rape, murder, assault. And the media was mad that they put them up. Not mad that illegals were led into this country to commit some of the most heinous crimes you could ever even imagine.
Check out the view.
But mad that they put their pictures, on the White House lawn. That they put the pictures where their stand-up shots, their live shots, those pictures would have to be in the background. And you know what MSNBC did? They blurred the pictures of these horrible rape, murderer criminals from their newscasts, protecting their identity, bashing Donald Trump and the Trump administration and the White House for putting that up there. Instead of getting mad at what any reasonable American would be mad at, why were these animals allowed into this country under the Biden administration? So everything that happened, every one of these instances calls out the fake media for the lying sacks of, well, that they are. We will be right back with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. But we're talking conspiracies tonight. Not in the way most radio shows cover conspiracies. I just don't know. I want to know what the people are thinking about, because there's so many out there. Some that make sense, some that are completely out of control. But it seems a lot of people do believe that there are things going on that we're being lied to about, and what the motivation is, if it's true or not, if it's kind of true, mostly true. I don't know. Who the hell am I to say? This is, I love the name of the place, Anthony from Long Island. Anthony, what's up, my friend?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for the program. You know, I just wanted to trailer onto what your last guest, prior to the young lady you had from ultrafree.com. Dick Cheney in 2001, Dick Cheney had been under investigation for embezzling $500 million as CEO of Halliburton. And he conspired with Arthur Anderson as well, did a great many other big tech, as Eisenhower warned us, beware the military-industrial congressional complex. And, it was just quite an irony that him as vice president had his finger on the switch and stopped the interceptors that would have stopped those planes from being hijacked. On August 23rd, there was a French stuntman, Terry Dew, had gotten caught on the Statue of Liberty. He tried to hang a banner off the torch.
I remember that.
Landmines, and the police brought him in. And, planes were scrambled within 15 minutes of that event. And they said that they were going to shoot him out of the sky because they had been, the FAA had been on the highest level because they were expecting a terrorist attack on American landmarks. And then it was but 19 days later that 9/11 transpired. Now, these are just facts. The only conspiracy I know of is the official narrative given us by the government itself.
That's the conspiracy, right.
Sandy Berger had gone into the National Archives 6 or 7 times stealing documents. If you go to the Chicago Tribune for August 21st, 2021, you'll see where recordings from the air traffic controllers on the morning of 9/11 which crashed 7 months later, even though they were mandated to save all evidence, and yet they found it necessary to burn some tapes.
Well, Anthony, what is their like plausible deniability? Did they say we needed to destroy those because this amount of time we should burn our records? How do they explain it without it sounding like this was part of the whole thing?
Well, the supervisor that did it was supposedly to be reprimanded or been penalized for what he did. But there was no explanation as to why 7 months later he would destroy those tapes. And they were the recordings that were taken that morning of 9/11. And the one air traffic controller had said on the tapes that they had over an hour and a half lead time because he had realized that the first plane had been hijacked before it left the runway because the transponder had been turned off. So therefore, they had an hour and a half, and yet there was a stand-down order. He contacted NORAD 3 times in a row because they were not responding as was standard protocol. So somebody had changed the protocols, and I think it all came back to the Cheney-Bush White House had interfered in what would have been a normal procedure because, even if a pilot gets gassed or anything happens, they would just out of sheer practice scramble jets. And yet on 9/11, like I said, Terry Dew, they responded 10 days earlier as was by protocol, and then but 19 days later they stood down.
Now, Anthony, do you believe that there were people in the planes and they did crash into the buildings?
Now you see me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, all right. Because there are people that don't even believe that. Now, do you also think that, now, hindsight, 2020, do you think even if they had scrambled planes, that they would have downed planes that were packed with American citizens?
No, but the pilots would have had methods to redirect those aircraft. But the fact that they didn't respond as was standard protocol for the last 50, 75 years since the FAA was established. So there was interference in that activity, and it just didn't make up. Then you have building number 7 collapse. They reported it collapsed a half hour before it actually
thermite paint. We all know it was thermite. That's what it was. People had come in and painted the walls with thermite.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of files.
Anthony's very serious
regarding Enron, Arthur Anderson.
Yeah, I mean it's a giant building in New York City. I can't imagine there's one building, especially in the financial district. I can't imagine any building doesn't have records that you could look at and go, wow, that's kind of important, or that implicates this person or this company or this government entity. So, like, it doesn't mean that because there were government documents or things that might have been incriminating in that building that's why it was demolished, if that was the case.
Well, the irony of it was that was Mayor Giuliani's control command center, yet nobody was manning the command center, which didn't make any sense. He was downtown or something.
It was a crazy day. It was a crazy day there, Anthony.
There are so many things that just do not make sense, you know.
I get you. But that's part of what
makes sense.
Does it make dollars?
Yes, and then that's it. Follow the money. You know, Eisenhower's farewell address to the nation.
Oh, I know.
The military-industrial congressional complex.
Exactly.
And I do believe that that's where we are.
Anthony, thank you so much. Exactly what we're talking about here this evening.
Great program.
Are they real? Thank you, man. Are they real? Are they not? Do you trust the government? Do you not? Is it 100% one way, 100% the other way? I don't know. Joaquin from Pennsylvania. What's up?
Hey, good evening there, Mr. Cumia.
Good evening to you.
You'll never guess what my grandchildren call me.
Opie? What do you got, red hair?
Yeah, No, I don't. I'm Opal, but they call me Opie.
Okay, adorable. What's up?
Well, anyway, one explanation for a lot of this stuff is that the history of this world has been one of people conquering and people being conquered, you know? So
people don't like to believe that, or people don't like to realize that that's what it's been also. They get very angry at the conquerors of days gone by, and it's like, that was the way the world works. So that's just the way it is. There are conquered people all over the world. Sorry. Anyway, continue, Joaquin.
Yeah, actually, I have a little bit of a conspiracy theory of my own as far as Signalgate goes.
Yeah.
I think that anybody who has close ties to Cheney really should be watched, at least closely or at a distance.
Well, who in Signalgate has ties to Cheney? Headset?
Okay, well, I'm not going to say a name, but I'll give you a hint. The Special Forces, the Green Berets are trained. They have a special mission, and that is one actually to overthrow, governments, to work behind enemy lines and things like that, and work hand in hand with the CIA.
Right.
So, anyway, so I'm going to leave it at that. But everything that's going on with
what could you, Joaquin, what could you possibly know that you don't want to say because it'll get out there? Like, see, you're a conspiracy one. You're being conspiratorial.
Mike Walsh, who was director of defense or something for Dick Cheney.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. We'll look into that. I'll put my team on it.
Good day. Okay.
That makes me question. And then also the whole thing with Rodrigo Garcia. That was all leaked from that whole can of worms was opened up by some lawyer from within the Trump administration. That should have never happened. That was outright sabotage. And so
I could see that.
And as we look at other things, ultimately, at this time, they're out to destroy Western Christian, Judeo-Christian Western civilization. And you look at that with the migration, and I believe that illegal immigrants are one of the big reasons why there may be blue cities, which make blue states, which make the swing states. Because when you look at Rodrigo getting caught in Tennessee, hauling people, and he doesn't get arrested because he has a driver's license which is expired. So in other words, these people have been covered to have free reign to go all over the country, and I'm sure that they're voting and everything.
Yep.
And so this is being done to subvert basically the country, because all these states, the rest of the states are red, and then you have these blue cities.
Well, Joaquin, I agree with you on the Rodrigo Garcia. I don't understand why. I've watched that video and don't understand. I've watched so many police videos. That guy would have been brought out of the car. All of them would have been taken out of the car. They'd have made an attempt to identify them. He'd have been maybe arrested, probably arrested. Why? Why was this guy let off? It was so blatantly obvious that he was hauling around illegals in this car, and they did nothing to this guy.
Squared away, sir.
it just blows your mind when you think about it. You know.
Thank you, Joaquin. I'm gonna move on because we have a lot of calls this evening. But I appreciate your call, Mr. Pennsylvania. Thank you, sir. There he goes. Yeah, I mean that whole thing is screwy. Again, the reason conspiracies, I think the reason they've always been a thing, and this mysterious kind of exciting thing to imagine, talk about, is because we have doubts. When people are in power, I guess by nature they're not trusted, which is a good thing. It keeps them in check. But it has gotten so blown out of every possible reasonable realm. It's just crazy. We hear about things, and there's nowhere to go to verify it. Like people tell me, "Oh, go here. You got to read this," and you're reading. Go, yeah, I could read the exact opposite on a site that has just as much credibility or not credible as this site. So where are we supposed to go to get the truth? And was there ever a place to go that you could get the truth? I don't know. Ryan, Tampa, Florida. What's up, man?
Hi, Anthony. A big fan. When Bush Jr. got elected, he never campaigned on this. But
Steve from Manhattan. Is this you?
No.
Steve.
Come on, I got
Steve from Manhattan. I love knowing now. You know, we know it's Steve. I don't mind Steve, but he'll just be rambling about something. I don't know. Let's see. Anyway, well, actually, I want to talk about this real quick because it's a huge story. This Minnesota mom, she was in a park. Apparently, some young black child was, she says, was stealing something out of her son's or her bag. She was there with her kid, stealing something out of her bag at a park. She drops an N-bomb on the kid, and a guy that has obviously his phone, and calls her out for dropping the N-bomb, talking to the kid, supposedly a 5-year-old. He looked pretty big on that jungle gym, but he was apparently 5 years old. So this guy comes up and calls her out for dropping an N-bomb on a 5-year-old, and she very unapologetically repeats it. And it causes this big controversy. It goes viral. And once again, the races are at each other's throats. Because, boy, don't we love that here in this country? Don't we love when the races can just choke each other out? It seems to be the new American pastime. So the result of this has been this woman has gotten support from a lot of people online. A Give, Send, Go, which is like a GoFundMe, was set up, and she has raised, or people have raised for her, over $500,000. Over $500,000. There are people that are very angry about this. Most of those people come from the black community. And when they voice their anger at it, the other side, because we're in a battle here, the white people say, hey, well, what about Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf? Carmelo Anthony stabbed and killed Austin Metcalf at a track event at a school, and money was raised for him through one of these online money-making sites. And he made over $500,000. So it's like they're neck and neck in this financial race war that's going on. But each side doesn't want to say that the other side is right in doing what they're doing, but they won't say that maybe they're wrong in what they're doing, raising money. This, by the way, now has nothing to do with a woman dropping an N-bomb in a park. This now is about people that were very angry with the Carmelo Anthony money that was raised for him because their story was Carmelo Anthony and his family are being threatened. Their life is being threatened because he murdered Austin Metcalf. So we need money to relocate. So they bought a new house, they bought an Escalade, they bought a suit for their spokesperson. And then this happens, and people, I think white people were just looking for someone to donate money to go up against this Carmelo Anthony. I think that's it. I don't think many white people just sit around and go, hey, look, she dropped an N-bomb, let's give her some money. I don't think that's the point. I think people are missing the much bigger picture here of this resentment. A white boy was killed, murdered. You'd be very hard-pressed to convince me this was self-defense based on what's out there already. But they raised a lot of money for this kid, and those donations came from the black community. And it annoyed the crap out of a lot of people that felt this was racial. This was a young white kid that was murdered by a young black kid. And they resented him getting all this money, getting paid, if you will, for murdering a white kid. So when this happened and money started going to this woman from Minnesota, it transcended just, oh, she dropped an N-bomb, let's give her money. That's silly. That's just ridiculous. But I think people need to see the bigger picture. There's a problem. There is a huge problem in this country racially, and I don't think a lot of people want to talk about it. They don't want to really delve in and say something's got to be done here. These two groups of people in this country really need to have what they say is an open and honest discussion about race, but no one really wants that. It's pretty painful. But that's where we're at. We'll see where it goes. But interesting story this past week. Be right back with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. What Anthony Cumia Show on a Sunday night would be complete without a clip from Rosie O'Donnell?
I got him.
We thought she was moving to Ireland, and that was it. We were kind of done with her. But boy, did she love communicating with the United States and spreading her awful, depressed, rambling babble to this country. Can't they can't Ireland just deal with her? Can't they just... Why do we still have to deal with her?
Sir, yes, sir.
But we do. And I can't do this alone. It's my job to find Rosie O'Donnell clips. And I shouldn't be the only one that suffers. So Rosie is now questioning Donald Trump's cognitive ability. This is the woman that was sticking up for Joe Biden during his 4 years of mental decline. And he was already mentally compromised when he was running. You remember they had him in his basement over there in Delaware constantly, not campaigning. So we knew, and we all talked about it. It wasn't like some secret. We knew. We said he was mentally impaired, and they said nothing. The Hollywood jack-offs, the media, all of them, and Rosie O'Donnell. But now Rosie O'Donnell is, I guess, a psychologist, psychiatrist, some type of expert on dementia or Alzheimer's. Not a word about Biden. But now, listen to what she says about Donald Trump.
Good. I'm having a great time. Until I start to hear about what's happening in the United States. And it's so overwhelming. And when are people going to start to realize how much he is in a cognitive decline? How he can't form coherent thoughts or sentences. He had a speech the other day and he couldn't say the word anonymous. He was like, it was something is very off with him. And, you know, there's a 25th Amendment, or isn't that what it is? When you can say our president is not with it enough anymore to be the leader of the free world. And aren't we there? Aren't we there? And the delusion is deep with his followers, I have to say. I don't quite understand it. This, you know, rich man who is desecrating all that we hold sacred in the United States of America. And these people are still cheering for him and, you know, writing posts about, you know,
damn right.
Terry Moran is bad and Trump owned him. Did you watch that interview? Trump did not own him. Trump was a petty bully on a child playground.
He called you a slob.
Come on, everybody, get together. Willful blindness has to end.
All right,
and
that's enough.
pray
That's
for
all.
us,
That's all.
we're going to need it.
Pray for us. That's all we need to hear from Rosie. I'm speechless. Whenever she talks, I'm speechless at her idiocy. What a dope. There she is, saying that Donald Trump is cognitively impaired when she was one of the cheerleaders, the big fat cheerleaders, the one that's on the bottom during the pyramid when they cheer. For Joe Biden, she brings up one word, anonymity, whatever it was. Yeah, that's okay. He can trip over one word. Let's pull out some Biden speeches, Rosie, and see how many words he screwed up. And not just words, complete sentences, complete thoughts, or lack thereof.
Look natural.
And then she has the gall to talk about Trump's supporters being delusional, not seeing that he has this mental impairment.
Replanting panels charged.
After her and Hollywood and mainstream media
Nobody here but us trees. Natural
denied
now you see me.
the unbelievable decline that we watched in Joe Biden's mental state. Why? She went to Ireland. Why? Is there a way to cut a cable or something? I know in the old days we had a transatlantic cable. And you could probably cut it. You wouldn't hear anything from the UK or the continent. But, oh my God, we still have to hear her nonsense.
Ready. On my way.
And she's a mess. I don't even mean physically, which she's a mess, but just a depressed old woman. Well, I'm here in Ireland. I got my daughter, the one I didn't screw up mentally, where she, you know, does drugs and she's arrested and.
Positional data received.
Imagine crowing over your daughter. I think she brought up her daughter at some point in that speech. And she's talking about how great it is to be in Ireland with her daughter. What about the other one? You should be able to talk about your daughter when you've screwed one up. Sorry. I don't care how well you do on this one. It's going to average out to a pretty low grade as a mom, because you screwed up your other one. You can still hate Rosie. That's even internationally. We'll be right back in moments with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Thank you very much. Chris from Long Island. What's up, Chris?
Hey, Anthony, what's going on?
Promoted.
Hanging, doing a show, you know, Sunday night.
Yeah. Yeah, what else are you going to do? So, first time, long time.
Whack, whack.
Have you... Yeah, right. 42 after the hour. Have you seen these lines in the sky?
Yes, yes, I've seen them. I've seen them for many years and just thought it was contrails. And then Lionel informed me that these are more nefarious than you think. So I'm not sure. Still, I'm not sure, but something does seem a little fishy, like they're trying to engineer the climate or the amount of sunlight that reaches the Earth.
There is something definitely going on with that. So I grew up on Long Island. I've noticed these things for 25 years. So 2.5 decades. And I've had people from the Air Force tell me that I am just bizarre, I'm beside myself, and what I'm looking at is humidity. So please tell me, what kind of humidity can turn the sky white?
Well, see, I know. Now, I know a little bit about aircraft, jet engines, aviation, and I do know that when air is pulled through a jet engine and becomes warm, and at altitude the air is very cold, that it can condense, and you get these trails of what are virtually clouds coming off of the engines of these planes. Now, the weird thing is, I don't recall this when I was a kid. I don't remember by the late afternoon, the entire blue sky being taken up with this basket weave of clouds that are now stopping the sunlight from making its way to the ground. So, here's my take on it, though. I don't believe that there are tanks of chemicals in the planes, and the pilots look around over their shoulder, make sure no one's looking, and they pull a lever on their passenger flights from, Detroit to Memphis, and start spreading these chemicals out there. What I can see maybe as a scenario is that the aviation fuel that comes into this country has chemicals put in it that no one knows about, that when they go through the engine, the byproduct is what they want. Some of these chemtrails that come out, but I don't think the pilots or anyone knows about this. I think a few people maybe, and I'm just speculating here. That maybe it's in the fuel itself. Because too many people, I don't buy into the too many people need to keep this quiet angle when it comes to conspiracy.
Right. Now, here's the thing. These planes from New York, they don't show up on Flight Tracker apps. I'm looking right at them. I'm looking at the Flight Tracker app. They're not there. So the other day, RFK Jr. came out and he said during a press conference that autism generally starts around 2 years old, and he's going to be looking for environmental toxins because there's no funding in looking for autism caused by environmental toxins. So this whole time when he's on the campaign trail, he's talking about how potentially they're part of autism. We don't know. We're going to study it. But if you're looking for an environmental toxin, that automatically lets Big Pharma off the hook because injections are chemical or biological. And then the other day, he was in another Dr. Phil show, and he said that chemtrails, we don't know. It's not his agency. It's probably DARPA. And he said it's probably along the line
DARPA. Anyway, continue.
And, yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. There's something to all this. I don't know what it is. And then Bill Gates and the UK, they're all out there saying, you know what, we should dim the sun.
Yeah. They start bringing up the stuff that was considered a conspiracy a few years ago. Do you think, Chris, do you think it's possible, and I think it is, that they throw so many things out there that the truth gets lost in this mix-up of conspiracy theories so that it doesn't have any credibility? So when people want to question it, they just go, "Oh, that's the same as the Loch Ness monster or Bigfoot."
Oh, definitely. They try to muddy the waters, but one of the reasons why chemtrails are probably a little bit more truthful than not is because so many people have ignored it for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
didn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. That's how it works. All right, man. Chris, thanks so much, bro. Thanks for the call.
Fast and light.
Let's see.
Tank in order, sir.
Why would anyone want to talk about Rosie O'Donnell? Eric, what's up, man?
Hey, Anthony. Good to hear you on the radio again, first off.
Isn't it? Isn't it, though? Thanks.
Yeah. I remember when I met you guys when you were on, XM and doing, terrestrial radio. I was actually in your studio back in December of 2006.
Ooh.
I was actually on the air with you guys.
Well, lucky
I was the one that sent you that DVD box set years ago.
I got many a box set. I'm assuming it was something perverse that you can't say on broadcast radio?
Well, yeah, I guess you could say that. But it was something, something of the era, let's say. But,
yeah, anywho.
So, listening to Rosie O'Donnell about all this, she's obviously stupid. It's funny because today I was driving with my dad, and we were listening to that old Rosie O'Donnell thing with the riding the bus with my sister when she plays a retard. I wanted to ask, in your personal opinion, do you think she sounds stupider now or when she played the retard?
I must say, although I don't agree with using language like that on the radio, but I think she sounds. What she's saying is much more stupid because she's trying to present it like she knows what she's talking about. At least when she was playing the card, you knew that dummy was going to say something stupid. But now she's trying to sound like she knows what she's talking about, and she's a complete idiot. She's delusional. She's manically depressed. She is like insanely depressed. And hopefully the weather in Ireland takes care of her.
Really? See, it's like what Jimmy said. I remember that line. He goes, "If she wants to be a good actor, she should play a role like she's acting thin. That would get her an Oscar."
Unit promoted.
My Jimmy. Thank you, my friend.
You are
there
victorious.
He goes. And let's see. We could. Oh, it's okay. I'll talk to Joe from South Jersey about Casey Anthony. Joe. A puff of smoke came out of an oldie time car or a factory. Somehow they got a hold of this climate change thing. And to think that in that short a period of time, the very early or late 1800s into the 1900s, to think that we could have had an effect on the globe in 1922 is insane. But they ran with it. They've been running with it. They've been lying to us about it. Do we have an effect on the climate or the Earth? I don't know. But it doesn't seem to be this existential threat they talk about, Rick.
Well, I can tell you right now, man has very little effect on the climate or the temperature of the Earth. The sun, total solar irradiance, the Milankovitch cycles, the Earth albedo, clouds, ocean currents, all that stuff has much greater power. Man is like, a butterfly fluttering its wings. Oh, sure. Does it affect other things? Oh, sure. How much? That's how much.
Right. We're part of the ecosystem. We're one of the many animals that reside on this planet, and every animal has an effect on the planet in some way, shape, or form. But are we so evil and bad and detrimental to the planet Earth? I just don't think we are.
No, it's false because they say CO2 is warming the planet.
Right.
Well, if that's the problem, 96% of the CO2 comes from nature, not from man. So if we were to kill every man on the planet and stop everything, all cars, everything stop short, still CO2 would be rising because the oceans are warming. Most of it comes from the oceans, a little bit from volcanoes, and dying biomass, and a little bit from man, like less than 3%.
And I don't see how no one wants to factor in that everything on this living planet, that especially they like to call it, changes over time. How do you rectify an ice age, pre-ice age, then an ice age, and then the pullback of the ice age when there was human effect on the planet was nothing? I mean, we were just as we were influencing the Earth just as much as a pack of wolves at that point. So how do they rectify those giant changes in the Earth's ecosystem without us being industrialized at all?
They have no answers for those kind of questions.
They don't, Rick.
They just demonize you, call you names, call you conspiracy theorists.
Yep. Thank you, man. I do appreciate your call on this Sunday evening. I do want to talk about another idiot. This guy's always in contention for Clown of the Week. Did he win? I think he won maybe once. Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff. Shifty Schiff. This guy, again, one of these guys that should just take his big pumpkin head on his little pencil neck and shove it into, well, the earth, let's say, like an ostrich, and hide. He's an embarrassment. Another one that just keeps getting elected. His constituents are low IQ, I have to think. But they're bringing this old gag up again. The assault weapon ban. This thing comes up every couple of years, I guess. They really try to put something forth with Trump. And by the way, they don't care about the bill passing. This is all a prelude to an election. They want to put a bill out there, have every Republican vote no, and then in the election commercial, they could say, every Republican voted no on the assault weapon ban bill. That's what most of the bills that are put out there are. They're just ammunition for the next election. They write it up, they know it'll never pass, but then they could just get the names of the people that voted no and use it. He wants to see schools shot up to pieces. This man, it's all nonsense, it's all show business, and it's ridiculous. But to choose a bill that absolutely infringes on one of the most basic of rights we have here in America. And remember, rights aren't given to us by the government. We have our rights. They're God-given. The government needs to recognize those rights. Our Bill of Rights and the subsequent amendments to the Constitution, they are what we have as human beings in America. And they're not to be infringed upon. They are to be recognized by the government. You cannot infringe on these rights. But boy, that Second Amendment, man, they are constantly trying to trod all over that one. So once again, here we are. Let's listen to Adam Schiff with the same nonsense about assault weapons ban.
Today I will be introducing the assault weapons ban of 2025, a bill that would ban the sale, manufacture, import, and transfer of military-style assault weapons. Since 2006, there have been 486 mass shootings involving assault weapons. Hundreds and hundreds of Americans have been killed in these mass shootings. This bill is a way to attack that massive threat to our safety and security. Dianne Feinstein introduced the first assault weapons ban 31 years ago after a school shooting in Stockton, California. For 10 years, that bill had a dramatic impact on mass shootings and mass casualties.
Wrong.
But when that expired, mass fatalities and gun shootings went up by 236%. The impact was that dramatic. It's time to pass an assault weapons ban again. It's time to protect our communities from senseless gun violence. It's time to bring back that powerful common sense reform again. It's time for the assault weapons ban of 2025.
Clam up. Oh. First of all, God, there's so many things. 486 mass shootings. 486 mass shootings. What's the criteria for mass shootings? Oh, they can make it sound like it's going up every year when they change what the criteria for a mass shooting is.
Unit ready.
You know what a lot of mass shootings are?
Unit ready.
Gangs shooting each other. If more than 2 people are shot, it's considered a mass shooting. So yeah, they changed the rules and the criteria and the definition, and then the year goes by and they go, look at the increase in mass shootings. Well, you're lying. You're lying about what the mass shooting is.
Checking designs.
And as far as assault weapons being used in mass shootings, they've also changed that. Most people think, oh, the assault weapons ban means they'll get rid of AR-15s and AK-47s. Weapons of war. Military style. What is he talking about? You go off into a war as an American soldier with a commercially available AR-15. You are a dead man walking.
Ready, comrade.
That is not a military weapon. It is no different than any other semi-automatic rifle. But they want to make it sound like you could buy a machine gun in a 7-Eleven. With your Slurpee, I swear you can.
Conscript reporting.
The single most uneducated people that profess to be so passionate about a cause are the anti-Second Amendment people. They know nothing about the laws, about guns. They don't know how they work. They don't know what to call them. AR and AR-15 stands for assault rifle. No, it doesn't. You're an idiot. But this is what we're dealing with.
Waiting orders.
And when they say banning assault weapons, notice they don't say assault rifles anymore. They say assault weapons because they want to ban a lot more than just AR-15s and AK-47s, which shouldn't be banned anyway. They want to ban pistols. I've seen this happen in New York. They want to ban certain pistols. They want to ban magazines. This is a big thing. Under the assault weapons ban, you will not be able to put more than 7 rounds in a magazine to go into a pistol or a rifle. Some states, under the federal guidelines, I don't even know what this one is, but some are 17, which is hilarious because they don't make magazines that hold 17 rounds. They're again lying to you. You get a rifle like an AR-15, you get a 30-round magazine, which they consider a high-capacity magazine. No, it's the standard capacity magazine for an AR-15. So they go 17 rounds. Well, they make 10 rounds. They make a 10-round magazine. So even though they say 17, you're really stuck to 10. Why would you need anything more? Watch some videos. Why would you need a 30-round mag? Watch when 5 guys do a home invasion on your house. Watch when 5 guys pull up, kick your door in, or catch you as you're just running into your door. You want to grab your 10-round magazine and hope you're 50% with every shot?
Ready, comrade.
No.
Waiting orders.
Thank you, no. Who are they to tell you how to best protect yourself and your loved ones? The ball's on all these politicians to tell you as they go around with armed security. The armed security driving their big SUVs. You're paying for it. And then you want to buy a weapon? A tool that is best suited to protect yourself and your loved ones? You want to buy it. And they tell you you can't. But if you don't fork over the money for their security, you'll go to jail. How do you like that? Isn't that awesome? Adam Schiff. So they change what an assault weapon is, and now you're screwed. They go, oh, well, you're grandfathered in. That's another thing they try to pull. If you own an assault weapon, you get to keep it. We're not taking your guns away. This is the way that they get around when they try to pull this garbage, that people go, they're on a gun grab. They're trying to confiscate your weapons, completely infringing on the Second Amendment. And they go, we're not taking your guns away. You can keep your AR-15s. Oh, really? Yeah, 5-round mag. No grip. Cut the grip off. You're not even allowed with a magazine. Don't put a foregrip on that thing. Try to put a laser sight on it. An adjustable stock. Get out of here. ATF, get that guy. They're literally taking your guns away. Don't let them fool you. That's always been their motive. How the hell are they supposed to exercise their what's the goddamn word I'm looking for? Exercise their authority. That's the word. Damn it. How are they supposed to exercise their authority over you when you're armed? The forefathers coming up with an armed populace is just brilliant. It's an amazing thing. They fought a revolutionary war against a government that did not want an armed populace. And then they realized how unbelievably effective an armed populace is in overturning tyranny, tyrannical government or kingdom. And ever since then, they've seemed to want to take that away. And you really have to think why. Why would they want to do that? Why the gun control thing? I don't think there's many people that like the fact that people get shot. A lot of people on a yearly basis here in this country. And I'll be honest, some people, I don't really care that much about it. They get shot. They want to play these games where shooting each other seems to be the way that they get over. And that's kind of their lot in life. Yeah, I don't mind. But for the most part, people aren't just shooting each other. Legal, law-abiding citizens that want to exercise their Second Amendment rights are not just shooting each other. So maybe we should do something about the problem instead of taking the rights of the American people and trampling them when it specifically says shall not be in the Constitution. So Adam Schiff, GFYS, I think we can say that on radio, and it's just another gimmick. It's a way that the bill won't pass, and when the election comes around in a couple of years, they'll go, look who didn't vote for an assault weapon. Screw off. Anyway, we'll be back in moments with more of your calls. Give us a call. The Anthony Cunha Show. This is Ken from the Isle of Long. Ken, what's up?
And welcome home.
Go Buchanan! Go Buchanan!
Oh, it's
Go Pack! Go! Go Pack! Go Pack!
It's him again. Was that Steve? Steve from New York?
Comrade General.
It happens. What are you gonna do? Get off my phone, you swatchin!
Building Soviet economy.
I used to love how Bob Grant handled those calls. Is this Rex? Rex from Florida? What's up, Rex?
Hey, Ant, how you doing?
Good, man.
So all these conspiracies, I have a conspiracy of my own about why they're so popular now.
Yeah.
It's all generations. I am in the same age group as you, and I used to think like you. Oh, the government wouldn't lie about that. Why would they do that? And then I think about I think about my father, who was an Navy Sea he would never believe the government would do anything like that.
Yeah, no way. No way, not that generation. And they had a vested interest too. It's one that, let me just quickly say this, Rex. Please stay on the line. I want to hear what you have to say. But the greatest generation, or even a little after that, maybe really older boomers, because I think that's where my parents came in. No, maybe they were the greatest. Who the hell knows? But yeah, they had such a vested interest in the government not lying to them. They literally watched their friends and their family members go off and be killed in these unbelievable giant wars of just meat grinders. So the thought that the government was lying to them, you could not convince them of that. They had given too much. And the further we get away from those situations, the more people will question the government, because they don't really care about it. They haven't gone through anything like that where they need to believe in the government, or everything that they've ever lived was a lie.
Right. Well, yeah, and then like my grandparents, my grandfather fought in World War I, so it was even more.
You're like Lieutenant Dan. You should go into a war. Everybody, your grandparents, everyone was in a war. Awesome.
Oh,
Thank them for their Thank you for your service.
Great. I'm going to end up with no legs. Awesome. So each generation going back further had a more deeper belief in what the founding fathers meant for this country. You know what I mean? And so as we get younger and we learn more, because back in 1940, there was no Twitter, there was no news other than the radio. So there wasn't this free exchange of beliefs, ideas, people talking about this, talking about that.
I'm going to post a meme about the war.
Right.
Here's my best gal on OnlyFans. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, as each generation, as we get older, I mean, farther away from the creation of our country, the shine falls off. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
What the intentions were and what it has become are two completely different things. I mean, look at our politicians. There was one time we had politicians that didn't become politicians as a job. Now every politician is just their job.
You know, it's amazing to look into how politicians used to operate. You get a farmer in some little enclave of the United States, and they would kind of appoint him. Hey, Bob's a good guy. He could speak well. Let him go to the state capitol and talk about our concerns. And he would become the representative of this local enclave, and then the representative a little higher than him would take up him and these other representatives that would send, and eventually it made it up to Washington, where they would go, hey, here's the concerns of these people. They didn't want to be politicians. It was a sacrifice. When these politicians these days, they're sitting on $200 million that they somehow made off a $200,000 salary, and when they retire, they go, the sacrifice of public service that this wonderful person made. They used to have to leave their jobs and their farms and their stores or whatever they were doing and literally sacrifice. Now, they stay in like a pope. They stay in office till they drop dead and make millions of money for their crime families.
Right. Well, that's why the founding fathers made the Senate 6 years and the House 2 years.
Yeah.
The House was designed to be that shop owner, that farmer,
right,
that could sacrifice 2 years of their life,
2 years,
to the community, their community, their government to serve, and then come back.
They weren't supposed to keep running. They weren't supposed to keep running for the same office forever.
Right, and the Senate was designed for the wealthy landowners where they could take 6 years away from home to spend in Washington. That's why the Senate always dealt with the foreign affairs and the House always dealt with the local stuff.
Yep. And now look at us. Now look at us. They stay in for life, these criminals.
Have leashes. They're just, they just, like I said, it's how everything has changed about how we look and feel about our country and how it's supposed to work.
I love it. Thank you, Rex. Your state's insane, by the way. You have a mental state down there in Florida. I was down there, and I love Florida, but it is crazy. You people are nuts down there.
Hey,
I love it.
It's the heat and the tourism.
I hear you. Thank you, Rex. Good hearing from you, bro. Later.
Moving.
Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in on this Sunday. Don't forget, we're here like every week. That's the God's honest truth. I swear to you. And we'll be back next Sunday, 8 p.m. Join us then, won't you?
Waiting orders. Moving. Waiting orders. Encountering enemy.
This is the tomb of the unknown soldier.
Moving.
Guarded 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Ready, comrade.
It's one of the most exclusive assignments in the Army, and one of the most difficult to attain. 19-year-old Private Joshua Beckman is about to take the uniform inspection test. It's one of 5 tests he must pass to earn the coveted Tomb Guard identification badge and officially become a Sentinel. Only 735 Tomb Guard badges have ever been awarded, making it the second rarest badge in the Army behind the Army Astronaut badge. The active Sentinels inspect every detail of Beckman's uniform using a micrometer measuring down to the 64th of an inch. Passing the test will move Private Beckman one step closer to becoming a Sentinel. If he fails, he could be reassigned away from the tomb.
We are armed.
Every year, about 4 million people visit Arlington National Cemetery near Washington, D.C. Every day, they pay their respects at the tomb of the unknown soldier.
Yes, Commander.
There is this weird feeling that you get when you get out there. You have this feeling, it's kind of hard to describe. You know, only a select few get to actually feel that.
The tomb honors unidentified American service members who died in combat.
For in death, as in life, an American needs no name to make him great.
Dedicated in 1921, the tomb contains the unidentifiable remains of 3 American soldiers killed in combat during World War I, World War II, and the Korean War.
They pushed me too far. Liberty is sweet.
Tomb guards watch the tomb in all weather conditions. Extreme cold, heat, and rain.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? I am Sergeant Johnston of the 3rd Infantry Regiment, United States Army. Guard of Honor,
Rating orders.
of the unknown soldier. No ceremony.
Sergeant Kaylee Johnston is the only woman currently serving as a sentinel at the tomb, and one of only 8 women to ever earn the badge.
We are armed. Let's keep the ore moving. Waiting order.
What is that like?
It's an experience. I don't feel any different than the guys that are here and that do the job, but it's definitely a realization when people are like, wow, only 8, and I kind of take a step back and I'm like, yeah, wow, I don't realize such an impact that I have on like young women and stuff in the military or just civilians that come here and see. So.
Ready. Hey.
Was it hard to get to that sentinel role?
It was. Yeah, it was very hard. There was times I didn't think I would make it, or if I didn't have it. And, yeah, I definitely like push myself every day that I'm here. So.
How does it feel that that's up there?
I mean, it's a huge honor to be part of this board. I mean, the other soldiers that I've met throughout training, all the old tomb guards have come down and talked to us about everything. It's absolutely amazing. I can't wait to come down in the future with my children and show them the board.
Before they become sentinels, soldiers train for 6 to 9 months. With a 90% attrition rate, those accepted are allowed to guard the tomb on a temporary basis while they train and test to become sentinels. In the tests, tomb guards are evaluated on their performance guarding the tomb, an exhaustive amount of tomb knowledge.
When did the unknowns receive the book?
7 August 1976.
And their uniforms. It all happens here, inside the tomb guard quarters, where Private Beckman is preparing for his uniform test to be graded by Sergeant Johnston.
So seeing that, I know what he's going through, so I do think about that when I'm grading him. But I don't miss that feeling. I don't miss the nerves of the day. They never go away, never.
Tomb guards in training start the day with a weapons strength test, simulating the ways they'll hold the nearly 12-pound rifle while guarding the tomb.
A lot of the reason we do the weapon strength is because even if you go to the gym all the time, it's awkward. You could lift 100 pounds in the gym and not be able to hold the rifle properly, sir. So the weapon strength really does build that endurance in the weird little small muscles that keep the rifle centered.
Ready, comrade. Let's lock in position. I have ordered measures.
Okay,
so you're going to be the star of the next Saturday.
And then he's going to fail. Sergeant Johnson will be the guy.
Boris agrees.
We gotta be perfect. I mean, standard is perfection. Down here, of course, nothing can be tangibly perfect, but you can get it as close as you can.
Back in the tomb guard quarters, it's rare to see a guard doing anything besides working on his or her uniform and the components that go with it.
Don't mess with me. It's not what I cannot do.
Did you have much experience with alterations and steaming?
I did not. I learned how to sew a blouse here. I learned how to press a blouse here. Usually my mom did that stuff for me.
What does your mom think about all your new skills?
She is happy that she doesn't have to help me with ironing my clothes.
Throughout American history, only 3,536 Medals of Honor have been awarded to 3,517 recipients, with 19 double recipients, one being Mary E. Walker, a recipient and the only woman recipient, for her actions during the Civil War, and Douglas A. Monroe, the only Coast Guard recipient for World War II. Union soldier William Johnston was the youngest recipient at age 13 during the Civil War, with Smedley D. Butler and Daniel J. Daly being the only 2 Marine Corps double recipients. Who was Daniel Daly? What made him unique and different from many other Marines and Medal of Honor recipients?
Studying blueprints.
What did he do to earn such distinctions?
Ready as ever.
Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, military veteran, historian, author, and welcome to this episode of Forgotten History.
Ready as ever.
Building. Construction complete. Construction complete. Building. New construction options.
Daniel J. Daly was born November 11, 1873 in Brooklyn, New York to Irish immigrant parents, John and Ellen Daly, with his siblings, Sister Mary and a brother named David. Early in his life, the family moved to Glen Cove on Long Island. Daly was a natural fighter from an early age, and he was prone to being bullied due to being a small-built boy.
Orders?
But he took to street fighting naturally in the tough neighborhood and became quite good at it. As an adult, he stood 5 feet 6 inches tall and only weighed 132 pounds.
Yes, sir.
Daly was not very interested in education, preferring a life of adventure, and he worked as a struggling newspaper boy in Manhattan before he decided to enlist in the Marine Corps on January 10, 1899, at the old age of 26, hoping to get into the Spanish-American War.
Yes, sir. Good to
But
go.
that conflict ended before he even completed boot camp. But after graduation, he became a shipboard Marine assigned to the Asiatic Fleet in May 1900, where he deployed aboard the USS Newark for Taku Bay, China, where he landed with other Marines en route for Peking.
Analyzing schematics.
By late 1899, the Fist of Righteous Army, called Boxers by the Western press, rebelled against Western influence in the country and were openly attacking Chinese Christians and Western missionaries. By May 1900, the Boxers were roaming around the countryside near Peking, housing the foreign embassies, killing at will.
Destination, Commander?
The international legation included the United States, Italy, Austria-Hungary, Germany, France, Great Britain, Japan, and Russia, numbering almost 20,000 soldiers around the country, but only 400 men, including about 50 Americans, were inside the walled compound.
Need a repair? Repairing. Got the plans right
When
here.
it was learned that Westerners were being murdered, things changed drastically.
Vehicle ready. Yes,
When the
sir.
report came that thousands of Boxers were approaching, it became terminal.
Unit reporting.
The multinational relief force was ordered to relieve Peking and save the small detachment, including the civilians. The first week of June 1900 saw the first international relief force, called the Seymour Expedition, of 2,100 men, including 100 Americans, being sent from the northern port of Tianjin to support the defenders in Peking. But on June 13th, the Empress Dowager ordered her imperial forces, including the Boxers, to prevent the relief troops from arriving, and the column was turned back as they faced several thousand Chinese. A desperate call went out. The first American troops had left the Philippines on June 14th, the next day, 1900, as a small detachment of the 1st Marine Infantry Regiment sailed for Taku. The U.S. Army's 9th Infantry Regiment, commanded by Colonel Emerson Liscombe, left Manila on June 27th, arrived at Taku, and then marched on to Tientsin. By July 13th, the international force was assembled and attacked at Tientsin by the Chinese and the Boxers. The U.S. 9th Infantry was heavily engaged, suffering about 15% casualties, including Colonel Liscombe being killed. Their pitched battle and killing large numbers of Chinese had opened the route to relieve Peking.
I can go anywhere.
The following day, sensing victory, on June 14th, the Empress ordered that all foreigners were to be killed. The German ambassador was murdered, and the other foreign ministers and their families and staff, together with hundreds of Chinese Christians, were trapped in their quarters and in the Roman Catholic Cathedral in Peking. Meanwhile, the 400 men on location in the legation had prepared their defense to prevent the Boxers from overrunning the entire compound. U.S. Marines and German forces had been stationed on the Tartar Wall surrounding the city of Peking, south of the American legation, but intense enemy fire had driven them back and down for safety. In August, the American forces were designated as the China Relief Expedition and included the Army 14th Infantry Regiment, a battery of the 5th Artillery Regiment, and the 6th Cavalry Regiment, commanded by Army Major General Adna Chaffee, with more than 2,500 U.S. soldiers, sailors, and Marines. This was the 8th Nation Alliance Force, made up of about 18,000 soldiers in total, including 2,500 Americans, 4,300 Russian infantry with Cossacks and artillery, 8,000 Japanese infantry, 3,000 British with Indian infantry, cavalry, and artillery, 800 French Foreign Legionnaires and German cavalry, and infantry joined Austro-Hungarian and Italian soldiers. The defenders in Peking knew that the relief force was on its way, but could they hold on? Marine Captain Newt Hall and Private Dan Daly mounted one part of the wall that had a long field of fire on August 4th with their Lee Navy rifle model 1895. The killing began almost immediately. Daly, an excellent marksman, had selected his killing ground, and it would be the longest single-handed standoff in American history. The Boxers had a few artillery pieces set up less than 1,000 yards away to fire almost level and point blank. Daly kept picking off the artillerymen, one by one, as they were replaced with new targets. The Chinese finally abandoned their artillery, easy pickings for Daly. Due to the growing numbers of hostile forces that had gathered in numbering the thousands, Captain Hall left Daly alone to bring up reinforcements on August 14th, and Daly remained alone to defend his section of the wall, considered the most vulnerable location single-handed. Despite Chinese snipers firing at him and attacking the wall with ladders, he fought them off, shooting dozens until his ammunition ran out, so he resorted to using the bayonet and the butt-stroke method to knock the Chinese off the top of the wall as they climbed up. He was sporadically handed ammunition by runners, and he continued to kill more, then going back to the bayonet until more ammunition arrived. It is unclear exactly how many he killed and wounded, but there were hundreds of dead Boxers and just as many wounded laying on the ground and against the wall, covering 1,000 yards deep and 500 yards wide. But after 2 weeks of defending this sector of wall, the last almost two alone, that section fell quiet as the Chinese survivors decided to find a less heavily defended section to reach. The relief force reached the outskirts of Peking on August 12, 1900. On August 14th, troops of the U.S. 14th Infantry arrived. Later that evening, Captain Hall managed to rally the international force survivors and link up with the release force that had arrived. He needed to check on Daly. The 14th Infantry scaled the Carter Wall section, littered with hundreds of dead Boxers, where Daly had defended and raised Old Glory on the battlements, where Hall and the Army soldiers found an exhausted Dan Daly. It was the first time a foreign flag had ever flown on Chinese soil. Shortly afterward, British troops managed to break through to the Czech Foreign Legation compound, but there was still fighting. The next day, the U.S. 5th Artillery blasted open the gates to the inner city, and Allied troops poured in to occupy Peking's city center. After surveying the terrain and massive numbers of casualties caused by Daly, he was recommended for the award of his first Medal of Honor, which he received in December 1901. Daly was then promoted to corporal and became a non-commissioned officer. Daly was known to be a strict disciplinarian, highly intelligent, and able to size up a dangerous situation faster than others. He was fair-minded and very popular among both the officers and enlisted men, famous for his unhesitating heroism. But Daly was also well known for his constant attention to the needs and concerns of his men. Soon afterward, Daly was offered a direct commission, which happened many times later, but he declined on the grounds that he would rather be, quote, an outstanding sergeant than just another officer. In March 1911, Daly was serving aboard USS Springfield when he put out a nearly disastrous gasoline fire before the general alarm could be sounded, which prevented the powder magazine from exploding, destroying the ship. Daly received commendations from his commanding officer, the ship's captain, and the Secretary of the Navy. A dangerous revolt in Haiti in 1915 endangered the Americans living there and property, and seeing a Marine Expeditionary Force sent in, Daly was serving with the 15th Mounted Company, 2nd Marine Regiment. and they carried out long-range patrols into the interior to seek out the Kako bandits. Daly learned that Marines had been taken prisoner, and, locating the prison camp, he tunneled under the walls, led a few Marines, silently killed the guards, and rescued the Marines. But his heroism was not yet over. On October 24th, 1915, Gunnery Sergeant Daly and his detachment were crossing a river after dark in a deep ravine near the Kako-held Fort Dipiti, when they were suddenly fired upon from three sides by about 400 Kako bandits concealed in the bushes about 100 yards from the fort. Although surprised by the ambush, Daly led his men to higher ground and holding a good position throughout the night while receiving constant enemy fire, they observed. Just before dawn, Daly and two other Marines, First Lieutenant Edward A. Osterman and Captain William P. Upshur, led three squads forward in different directions to outflank and surprise the Kakos. The maneuver worked, and they killed many of the rebels while the rest fled, allowing them to capture Fort Dipiti. As a result, Daly, Osterman, and Upshur all earned the Medal of Honor for their actions that day, and it was Daly's second. Daly served during World War I from November 4th, 1917 to April 21st, 1919, and fought in the Toulon sector from March to May 1918 and in the Ain operations during June 1918, which included Chateau Thierry and Belleau Wood. On June 5th, Daly extinguished a fire in the ammunition dump at Lucy-le-Bocage. 2 days later, one of the heaviest German bombardments, he personally visited all of the company machine gun crews scattered over a wide section of the front, keeping up morale. On June 10th, his machine gun company was on patrol and taking enemy machine gun fire at Belleau Wood as the Germans retreating from Chateau Thierry stood their ground. When his Marines of the 73rd Machine Gun Company received fire crossing the open wheat field, Company First Sergeant Daly realized they were outnumbered, outgunned, and pinned down. Daly then famously ordered an attack and leapt forward shouting his now famous order, "Come on, you sons of bitches, do you want to live forever?" Daly pushed his surviving men through the enemy fire and located the source of the machine gun and single-handedly attacked an enemy emplacement, capturing the Spandau and killing the three-man crew despite being wounded by the use of hand grenades and his Colt 1911 pistol. Daly's Marines then exploited the gap and pushed deep, encountering the main element of the German 347th Division. And for 2 days the fighting was close quarters with grenades, bayonets, knives, even hand-to-hand. The fighting was taking place in several positions, but especially on Hill 142. Daly's bravery allowed the Marines of the 5th and 6th Marine Regiments attached to the Army's 2nd Infantry Division, ironically commanded by Marine Major General John A. Lejeune, to clear the woods and win the battle for Allied forces. At Belleau Wood, the Marines suffered the highest casualty rate in U.S. Marine Corps history until the Battle of Tarawa in 1943, but they won. His actions during that battle earned him the Army Distinguished Service Cross and the Navy Cross. The French awarded him the Médaille Militaire and Croix de Guerre with Palm and the French Victory Medal with 4 clasps. Later that day, during an enemy attack on the village of Boresh, Daly ran through intense enemy fire to collect about a dozen wounded Marines and soldiers, bringing them to safety. He even gathered a few of the dead. Both 5th and 6th Marines would earn the French Croix de Guerre, which all Marines still wear when assigned to those units. The cost was heavy. 31 officers and 1,056 men of the Marine Brigade were casualties.
Comrade?
In total, the United States forces suffered 9,777 casualties, including 1,811 killed. There is no complete accounting for German soldiers killed, although 1,600 were taken prisoner. One German soldier wrote, "The Americans are savages. They kill everything that moves." Another German called the Marines reckless. The legend is that the Germans used the term Teufelhunde, devil dogs for the Marines, although that seems unlikely as that term was not commonly used in the German language at that time. However, it was reported that the word Höhlenhunter, which means hellhound, was used. Either way, it was a sign of utmost respect. World War I German veteran and Pour le Mérite recipient Captain Ernst Junger used that term in mentioning Marines. Daly again saved the lives of his men, cutting down a German charge on June 21st, where he was wounded. After recuperating, he served in the Saint-Mihiel offensive in September 1918 and the Champagne offensive at Bloquemont from September to October 1918, and was twice wounded in action again on October 8, 1918. He then served with the American Army of Occupation in Germany following the armistice, which he considered not a bad birthday present. When the war ended, Daly served with American occupation forces in Germany, but his service included sea duty aboard the ships USS Newark, USS Panther, USS Cleveland, USS Marietta, USS Mississippi, USS Ohio, and USS Machias. His career was quite colorful. In addition to combat in China, Haiti, and France, he also served in Panama, Cuba, Mexico, and Puerto Rico, and 8 locations in the United States. Daly remained on active duty until September 1919, when he transferred to the Fleet Marine Corps Reserve. He then took a job on Wall Street as a bank guard for 17 years. Daly officially retired from the Marine Corps on February 6, 1929 as a sergeant major.
What is the mission?
Daly often spoke about the heroism of others with whom he served, but he never spoke about himself in such terms. Marine Corps University's biography of Daly said that while he was a natural for publicity, he disdained it and disliked all the fuss made over him. A complete list of Sergeant Major Daniel Daly's decorations and medals includes 2 Medals of Honor, Navy Cross, Distinguished Service Cross, 3 Letters of Commendation, Good Conduct Medal with 2 Bronze Stars, China Relief Expedition Medal, Philippine Campaign Medal, Expeditionary Medal with 1 Bronze Star, Mexican Service Medal, Haitian Campaign Medal, World War I Siegfried Medal with Ein Saint-Mihiel Meuse-Argonne and Defensive Sector Class, Médaille Militaire, Croix de Guerre with Palm, and Fourragère. Daly always thought that medals were a lot of foolishness, and Daly never drank alcohol, but he enjoyed smoking his pipe with cut-plug tobacco. Dan Daly never married, and in 1919 he was reported as saying, "I can't see how a single man could spend his time to better advantage than in the Marines." In 1932, Daly was hospitalized after having a heart attack. Sergeant Major Daniel Daly died in the early morning of April 28, 1947 of heart disease at his sister's home in the Glendale area of Queens on Long Island, New York. He was buried in Cypress Hills National Cemetery in Brooklyn. Sergeant Major Daniel Dan Joseph Daly was once acclaimed by Major General John A. Lejeune, former Commandant of the Marine Corps, as the outstanding Marine of all time. Major General Smedley Butler, the other 2-time Medal of Honor recipient and fellow combatant in Haiti, called him the finest fighting Marine I ever knew, and wrote that it was an object lesson to have served with him. Daly's record as a fighting man remains unequaled in the annals of Marine Corps history. Both of his Medals of Honor and other medals are in the National Museum of the U.S. Marine Corps in Quantico, Virginia. In March 1943, the U.S. Navy commissioned the USS Daly in his honor. The ship was christened by his niece. Dan Daly was the most decorated enlisted man in Marine Corps history, nicknamed the ultimate devil dog by his fellow Marines. His legend is secure.
Location confirmed.
Thanks for watching today's episode of Forgotten History. If you like this episode, please consider becoming a channel member or joining our Patreon page.
Ready, comrade.
This would help us offset the ever-increasing cost of production.
Changing position.
As always, please like, share, and comment. And if you have any show ideas, please contact us, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Until next time.
Ready, comrade. Gear off report. Ready, comrade. Changing position.
Select target. Insufficient funds.
Ready, comrade. Changing position.
Ready. Select target. Building. Training.
Gear off report.
One of the most successful, well-known, and widely respected actors in film history is American actor Lee Marvin. Known for such iconic films as The Dirty Dozen, Reindeer Wagon, Bad Day at Black Rock, Cat Ballou, Mr. Roberts, The Big Red One, The Professionals, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, Donovan's Reef, M Squad, the TV show, Hell in the Pacific, and Emperor of the North. He was always in demand as an actor, a great box office attraction. When Lee Marvin died on August 29, 1987 of a heart attack in Tucson, Arizona, newspapers, tabloid magazines, and TV news all covered his death and remarked about his long and amazing career. But many did not know that he was a United States Marine who served in the Pacific during World War II. Who was Lee Marvin? What was his military service during World War II? What was his legacy?
Changing position.
Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, a veteran of the United States Army and Marine Corps, former history professor, book author, and welcome to this episode of American History.
Setting new course.
Unit lost. Select target.
Lamont Waltzman Marvin Jr., better known as Lee Marvin, was born on February 19, 1924, in New York City, the second son of his parents, Lamont and Courtney, and they had a full-time job controlling him as a youth. He had an older brother named Robert who became a teacher and artist, who was named after their distant relative, Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Their father was a World War I veteran, a captain in the Army Corps of Engineers, and later a successful advertising executive. His mother, Courtney Washington, was a well-known fashion writer. Despite having a rather disciplined household, his boisterous manner and quick temper saw him kicked out of several boarding schools for his violent behavior, smoking cigarettes, truancy, and getting into fights. One of the reasons that he was such a poor student is that he suffered from dyslexia and ADHD, and he preferred spending his time in the Everglades of Florida, where his family moved after his father became advertising manager for the Florida Citrus Commission in 1940. He much preferred hunting game than attending classes, killing wild boars with a bamboo spear, and stalking down pumas. Never one to back down from a fight despite the odds against him. He was once expelled for throwing his roommate out of the second-floor window, luckily avoiding criminal charges. His last stop was St. Leo's Catholic College Prep School in Florida, but he dropped out in 1942, but later returned so he could graduate. He wanted to join the Marine Corps. Marvin disregarded his father's objections to his joining the Marines, but after his brother Robert joined the Army Air Forces, Marvin himself enlisted on August 12, 1942 anyway. Ironically, both sons in the military, their father Lamont re-enlisted at age 51 and was sent to England where he established anti-aircraft batteries, actually shooting down a few V-1 flying bombs and a couple of V-2 rockets. Lee Marvin went to boot camp at Parris Island, South Carolina Recruit Depot, and then went to New River, North Carolina Marine Corps Base. He excelled in boot camp and, thanks to his father's influence, made sharpshooter. He missed expert status by 1 point. He was promoted to corporal at New River, assigned to a service company at Camp Elliott near San Diego, California, and received instructions in demolition. He mastered combat training but was still rebellious, and some minor scrapes saw him reduced to private, confined to barracks, and assigned to a month of mess duties. Afterward, he was assigned as a quartermaster in D Company of the 4th Tank Battalion, 4th Marine Division, and then deployed to the Southwest Pacific, where he was assigned as one of the first Marine Corps Scout snipers, as that was yet to be designated as a military occupational specialty. They were later redesignated as the Reconnaissance Company. The snipers would be scattered throughout the division as needed. Marvin was directly involved in combat several times and participated in 21 landings on Japanese-occupied islands while serving as a member of 4th Marine Division.
Airship ready.
He reached the rank of corporal but was demoted again to private for an unknown infraction. Of particular interest, Marvin landed on the beaches of Inuitak and Saipantinian, where most of the 4th Division was wiped out. Paddling in small rubber boats, Marvin and his comrades were sent in to reconnoiter Kwajalein on the night before the invasion, early on Tuesday, February 1st, 1944.
You are sure?
As he remembered, if you were fired on, you were supposed to throw a poncho over your head, whip out a blue flashlight, and draw an X on the map where the fire was coming from. Well, I don't think anybody actually threw a poncho over their head, and nobody fired back either, because once you fired, you were dead. Of course, we'd all get miserably lost and screwed up. The next morning, if you got that far, the sun would come up, and there would be the whole U.S. Navy out there because it's D-Day. And they would be shelling you because if they saw you, they figured you were Japs, and nobody told them otherwise. So, God, it was absolute confusion. You're hit by friend and foe. So, you eventually swim out to a reef and pray, and hope, goddammit, that somebody's listening. The Marines captured Kwajalein on February 4th, and Marvin saw more action later that month. He and his comrades scouted Inuitak before the landings by Marines and Army troops on Engabi and Perry Islands on February 18th and 19th. Marvin's luck held through several more missions before he was shipped to Maui, Hawaii, for leave. Upon his return, he was assigned to the I Company, 3rd Battalion, 24th Marine Regiment, 4th Marine Division, preparing to invade Saipan, which was fiercely defended by 32,000 Japanese troops, and the month-long campaign was bitter and costly. Marvin's platoon led the penetration, and they ended up in an artillery kill zone, and it came down furiously. As he stated, they had us nicely pinpointed on a checkerboard. They didn't miss. The artillery got very bad, and all the bombing was coming down real heavy. Casualties began to mount, but Marvin and his surviving comrades pushed forward and took shelter in a long trench. By the end of the day, the Marines and Japanese were only 30 yards apart. After killing dozens of Japanese in a series of suicidal banzai charges on Saipan, Marvin and only a few others from his platoon were still alive. In fact, the entire company had been reduced to 25% combat effectiveness. As the remaining men of I Company pushed up to secure the 1,554-foot limestone Mount Topachal on June 18, 1944, Marvin covered their advance with accurate sniper fire, picking off the Japanese snipers he could locate after they fired. But then the Japanese counterattacked, and he was hit by machine gun fire, opening a 9 by 3-inch gash, almost severing his spinal cord and severing his sciatic nerve. He was paralyzed at that time. As he continued crawling forward as best he could, one of the Japanese snipers he was hunting shot him in the foot. Marvin was placed on a stretcher, given a shot of morphine, and laid with the other wounded men. A few seconds later, after he had gulped some water from a plasma bottle, captured Japanese ammunition 250 yards away exploded. A tremendous blast blew Marvin off his stretcher, and he landed squarely on his wounded backside. After over a year of medical treatment in naval hospitals, he was evacuated to the hospital ship USS Solace, and he spent 13 months in various naval hospitals, going through several surgeries. His prognosis did not look good. However, Marvin had determination, and he attacked rehabilitation therapy the same way he attacked life, head-on. But his wounds rendered him invalid for further military service. Lee Marvin received a Purple Heart, Navy Commendation Medal with V device, Combat Action Ribbon, Presidential Unit Citation, America Campaign Medal, Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal, World War II Victory Medal, and was medically discharged with the rank of Private First Class. After his medical discharge in July 1945, he and his father and brother returned with their mother back to Woodstock, New York. Marvin worked as a plumber's assistant at an upstate New York community theater. A neighbor would take him on fishing trips, and on one of these trips he met the manager of the nearby Maverick Theater. He sometimes stood in for sick actors during rehearsals, making $7 a week, and he discovered that he had a love and was told he had a talent for acting. He learned that his wound to his spine would be painful as a reminder of his service for the rest of his life. Taking encouragement, he studied acting at the American Theater Wing using his GI Bill education benefits. He appeared in many off-Broadway productions such as Uniform of Flesh, which was the original version of Billy Budd in 1949. The latter play to see him perform the same role on Broadway in 1951. This play was performed at the Experimental Theater, where a few months later, Marvin also appeared in The 19th Play in Europe. That same year, until he was discovered by a director who suggested that he move to Hollywood, which he did in 1950, making his film debut in You're in the Navy Now in 1951. That film saw the introduction of new actors Charles Bronson and Jack London. This required some filming in Hollywood, so Marvin decided to stay in California, and that same year he was in the film Teresa. Marvin always chose to take on tough guy roles in movies such as The Dirty Dozen, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and Sergeant Riker. Marvin won an Academy Award for his roles, both as a drunken gunfighter and his evil twin brother in the Western comedy Cat Ballou in 1965. Perhaps his best friend, acting legend and fellow veteran Ernest Borgnine, worked together on several films, most notably The Dirty Dozen, Emperor of the North, and Bad Day at Black Rock opposite Spencer Tracy. In 1986, Marvin told a Leatherneck writer, "When I see a young Marine in the airport, I think about how this guy is getting his presence together. That boot camp is doing its job. There's a medal to him standing in the airport wearing that uniform with his rifle badge. Yeah, I guess I see myself." Lee Marvin was a lifelong Democrat in the John F. Kennedy era, openly supported him during his presidential campaign. He was also very open-minded on social issues. In a 1969 Playboy magazine interview, Marvin said he supported gay rights. Marvin was a hard drinker and chain smoker, and was famous for always getting what he wanted from women to roles, and he never accepted surrender in any form. His longtime love interest was acting. When asked why he joined the Marines, he was quoted as saying, "I knew I was going to be killed. I just wanted to die in the very best outfit. There are ordinary corpses and Marine corpses. I figured on the first-class kind and joined up." Lee Marvin lived by a simple mantra. Life is every man for himself. You can't ever let your guard down, and the most useless word in the world is help. He was credited with making his action war films more accurate by helping train young actors in the use of the World War II weapons that he himself was an expert on. He also instructed them on military mannerisms and methods. When Lee Marvin died, he was 63 years old, and he was buried with honors in Arlington National Cemetery. Thank you for watching Forgotten History. Please click like, subscribe, and share. Send us comments and show ideas, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Until next time.
You are victorious. You are